Hello, everybody, and welcome to TOT&HAM, the weekly show where James and I rant and rave about our own clubs, Tottenham and West Ham. My name's Serge. I've already introduced you.
My name's James. Thank you. What the hell? There's nothing to rave about, is there?
FPL. No, there isn't. There has been weeks where there has been something to rave about, and in 3 weeks from now, one of us will probably be raving and the other will be ranting because we play each other. Only 2 more games to go until the big clash.
Listen, there's every chance it will finish 1-1 and we'll both be
and
moaning,
we'll both
mate.
be irritated for sure. So yeah, it's Tuesday. We had the weekend. West Ham got battered by Newcastle. Let's be honest, the 3-2 scoreline doesn't reflect the game in any way, shape or form. And Tottenham managed to draw 1-1 away at Everton in a strange game for the last half. Especially with the 12 added minutes, but the goal going in so late into injury time, and the injury which we will have to talk about. But yeah, it wasn't a great weekend. Lots of interesting news with your team selection and Harry Kane being ill threw a few spanners in the works. A lot of people were very happy about that because they had Lundstrom on the bench. So yeah. A Kane injury meant Lundstrom coming on, but or illness as opposed to injury. Where do we start, James?
I think we should start with West Ham, mate.
You saw the highlights?
I saw the highlights, yeah.
Yeah. That performance had been brewing for a while in the sense that we were playing so slow. And Newcastle played it perfectly. They attacked us on the counter. St. Maximin, he looked a player. No end product, like we talked about him and Almiron are never going to score, but he was a constant thorn in the side of everyone in the back four, and we could have should have lost by considerably more. So yeah, I don't even know where to start. Ask me questions and maybe I'll answer them.
Okay, let's look at some of the numbers from the first half.
Yes,
because I think particularly in the first half, I mean, they should have been out. They should have been out
in the first half, because the reality is the last 30 to 40 minutes we were camped in the final third.
So
ineffectively camped, but we were camped.
Big chances in the first half. 4-0 to Newcastle. Big chances
Correct.
missed. 3-0 to Newcastle.
Yep.
Hit the woodwork. 1-0 to Newcastle. Counter attacks. 3-0 to Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Shots inside the box. 5 each. Shots outside the box. 2-0 to Newcastle. Goalkeeper saves. 4 from Roberto. 2 from Dubravka. Interestingly, in that first half, Newcastle only had 31% of the ball. They had the same amount of possession in both halves. What happened here? Because some of the counter attacks that they were having with the ball over the top, particularly towards St. Maximin, who's quick as, it resembled. Can I be honest? I don't really want to say this, but peak Arsenal.
Yeah.
In terms of
what Thierry Henry getting in.
No. Them defensively when they're having a shocker in terms of. I mean, Louise sits quite deeper now, but I'm thinking.
So our defending resembled
a little
Arsenal,
bit. Yeah,
I thought you were saying that Newcastle resembled.
It's the sort of thing you expect to see in a cup tie when you're throwing everyone up front and there's like you're in injury time. It's not the 2 St. Maximin breakaways. Essentially, is 1-on-1 from the halfway line.
Correct.
That really should not be happening. In the
Isolated
first half
against Zabaleta, who's about 300 years old.
How did you get into that state where they were countering you over the top so easily?
The first 15 to 20 minutes, we didn't play like too badly. We like you said, we had possession, we were attacking, but then Newcastle had their spells on the ball and in our final third, and we got ourselves out of a situation with a last-minute tackle or someone nipped in and took the ball away or what have you. And I felt at the time, and I said to my mate who was with me at the time, I was like, I feel like we're a bit complacent here, where we think, you know what, we're good enough to beat these, we'll get out of it. And we've got ourselves out of it lastminute.com on a couple of occasions here, but we can't keep doing this all game. And that's what eventually happened. Newcastle were very good at defensively, they were very, very good, and sucked us in and left acres of space in behind. So many people have been critical of the choice of Zabaleta, but Zabaleta versus St. Maximin is not a not even a contest. Like, he's skinning him alive there. So we got sucked in. We made so many passing errors in the first half. I'll defend Felipe Anderson till the cows come home, because I just think he's head and shoulders above anyone else on the team. But misplaced passes galore. Declan Rice, misplaced passes galore. Mark Noble was non-existent. When we set up as a 4-1-4-1, one of the guys out of Snodgrass and Noble needs to do the box-to-box stuff. Noble hasn't been non-existent for the last 2 games. Against Sheffield United in this game, he had no impact in the game whatsoever. Hence, he was subbed at half-time. And
sorry, Yarmolenko, to clarify that, are you saying?
No, Noble.
Yarmolenko went off at half-time, didn't he?
Noble went off as well.
What, half-time as well?
2 substitutions at
Jesus,
half-time.
he did, yeah.
It was ineffective. He was non-existent in the game, and you need that box-to-box person in that setup. Then what starts pissing everyone off is the fucking flicks. I don't. They probably shouldn't show any of them on the highlights, because none of them came off. But when you're 2-0 down, the last thing you want to see is your players trying to backheel and flick it, and then things just got... We're like, you can't pass the ball with a normal side of the foot pass. Why are you flicking it, Felipe? Why are you flicking it, Ale? That was irritating. Roberto's goalkeeping was hideous. That second goal, well, he thought it was Halloween. He thought he'd come out like a big monster and scare him or something. What the fuck? Like a mummy coming out of goal. That was just... I had a perfect view from where I sit, and I was just like, what? He's not going to catch it, and he's not going to block it. It's not like he's closing down the angle for a striker bearing down on him. He's just left open goal for a header. Hideous. So yeah, everything about that performance was bad. The goal that he conceded, let him with the free kick, like you said, he got hands on it. He should have saved that. We in the last 30 to 35 minutes had, I don't know what the possession stats are for that, but we had all of the ball, and we were camped in the final third there. They did have a few breakaways, but ineffective. And the reason we scored 2 goals was literally because of that pressure. You can't withhold that much possession and that much pressure on your goal for that long. The first they conceded was sloppy off Balbuena, and the second was a good finish, but it was so late.
Goal, Snodgrass'
it was so late that I don't think it mattered, and Newcastle had psychologically already thought that they had won it. But I mean, I didn't feel like we were going to score. From 70 minutes onwards, I didn't feel... It was like, we'll have all the ball, great. We're not going to break these guys down.
Why has it gone from a period, say where you drew at Villa on that Monday night, I was at game week 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Where I was quite critical of the idea of you being happy with the point. Now, under the circumstance, going down to 10 men, late on you actually played better once you went down to 10 men.
Yeah. And
talking about trying to shift this mentality to a winning mentality. And basically since then, you've been fucking shite, mate.
Slow. It's a slow play that's really frustrating everyone. It's like when we can see it, like Snodgrass in the middle will pick up the ball, you can see that Cresswell's free on the left in acres of space. Just play it. Like if it was City, ping, that ball's gone out to the left. He takes 2 or 3 touches and then pings it out to the left. And it was like, just play it faster. Felipe will break in, check back. Why has it got to this? The personnel hasn't massively changed. The system hasn't massively changed. So it is frustrating. The only thing I can think about, and I'm going to hold fire and wait and see what happens now, is we've played Palace. Our home games have been Palace, followed by Sheffield United, followed by Newcastle, who are 3 of the most obstinate defensive teams to come up against, that you will come up against in the league this year. It's no joke that Sheffield United are top on clean sheets right now. Palace could have kept Leicester out yesterday from organisation. I mean, the goal they conceded against Suyunshu, they'll be really disappointed at, because it's not a Palace-y type goal to concede, letting someone ghost in the box like that. So we've now got away at Burnley, who again will be very stubborn defensively. Then we play Tottenham, we've got Chelsea, and I can't remember who the next game. I think then we might be up to Arsenal. I honestly feel
you're
like
you're missing a fixture at Wolves.
Sorry, yeah. I honestly think we'll play better against Chelsea, Tottenham, and Arsenal, where there'll be more space. But we're struggling to break. When teams sit in, we have no ability to break them down. The thing I complained about last week was like, what's easier to defend than a standing person? Nothing. And they're just so static at the front. No movement, no desire to want to mix it up. Nothing like that at all. And
So
it's bad. It was a poor performance. It was poor everywhere.
after beating Manchester United, you laughed at me when we lost to Colchester.
Yeah, we lost to Oxford.
You got battered 4-0 at Oxford the next night. And obviously Fabianski got injured in the next game against Bournemouth. And after that 2-2 draw, it's 1 point in 4 from, 3 home fixtures included in there, as you said, against Palace, Sheffield United and Newcastle. It's obviously unacceptable. I think you're right in terms of you'll be better off for the tougher on paper fixtures, if we can say that.
Yeah, I think it's just more open games. Having said that, we've scored 4 goals against Newcastle, Palace and Sheffield United.
And got 1 point.
And got 1 point, but there's teams that will score less and possibly get more points. It's at the back.
So that's the issue. Is it a confidence?
It's not actually, it's both.
If it's
We can't break them down. We still scored the 2 goals against Newcastle. I'm going to say a consolation goal. In the other games we went up.
Is it a confidence thing because of the issue with the goalkeeper?
No.
Like they're worried
Maybe
about
a little bit.
him.
Maybe a little bit.
I think that has a massive impact. I really, really do. I think losing your first choice goalkeeper is so understated in terms of its importance. Ours, in the last couple of games, has done okay. I think we now know, Gazzaniga probably is better than Roberto.
As much as we are 2-0 down because of Roberto, we would have been 4-0 down if it wasn't for Roberto. Because he pulled off a couple of good saves.
Even Almiron nearly scored.
Yeah.
What a
I was
state.
laughing at these guys.
Although Almiron does nearly score most weeks.
We're looking over our shoulder now. Albeit we're on the same points as you and Manchester United. I don't know if that's anything to
That's nothing to cry
claim.
about. No.
We're looking over our shoulder now. And I think we need to. Like, Burnley's going to be a horrible game. I don't see how we're going to get anything out of that game. But I do have a certain amount of confidence when there's space for us to play. But confidence is an issue. Like, people getting on Felipe Anderson's back now is a concern. People getting on Declan Rice's back now is a concern. The one thing I didn't like was after Roberto conceded the goal against Shelby, the free kick in the second half, the ironic cheering and clapping every time he caught the ball or made a save. How's that going to help him?
He doesn't, mate.
How's that going to help
ridiculous.
him? But yeah, it's not looking good at the moment. I'm going to be selling Yarmolenko because of the red card to Son. That might have to be delayed by another week now, which because of other moves. But by next game week, Yarmolenko is going to be gone. And I couldn't advocate anyone from my side. Anyone.
Oosh, I have a couple of questions to close on West Ham. One, it's noticeable just looking at the game statistically that a lot of your attacks were down the left-hand side.
Yeah, Felipe.
Why did Zabaleta play instead of Fredericks when you kind of already highlighted the one weapon Newcastle do have is the counter-attacking and the pace of Almiron and particularly St. Maximin? He's a live wire, isn't he? He's unpredictable. Yeah,
he's very unpredictable. He's not bad on the ball as well. I expected him to be more erratic than he was, St. Maximin. I think if anything, what's he priced at in FPL?
It doesn't matter.
He's if you're into that kind of thing, he's worth a punt as a little firecracker.
No,
he's not that bad.
He's not.
Honestly, he's not. He will create goals and chances, but I just don't think you back Newcastle necessarily right now.
No, I don't think you're looking at attacking Newcastle players.
No. But then why? I don't know, because Yarmolenko was then incredibly isolated. Like, Zabaleta wasn't giving him much support.
So is that why Yarmolenko went off at half time? Because that was going to be my next question.
Isolated, nothing.
But he's been your best player last month, no?
He didn't have much chance to show. I think he just wanted to change the formation or something. I don't know why.
Jetty came on and did
very little.
So he's just bog standard average.
Bog standard average. He'll get 5-6 goals a year because just being at the right place at the right time. Lanzini was the one thing I was going to say. He grew into the game. He came on late, but he grew into the game. And then
why is he not starting?
Coming back from injury, I think I'd honestly rather see Snodgrass and Noble and Rice in the middle because of the work rate.
It's November now. Has he not been fit for nearly 6 months?
But he had a 1 week off with a knock. I don't know if they're nursing him back in. But he did look better, did Lanzini. Now, I think Anderson's confidence is going to get shot soon because people get on his back quite a bit.
But it was a stage of this
Struggling.
last year with Anderson when we played you towards the end of October, the twice at your place in 10 days in the league and the League Cup. The fans were really on Anderson's back then. I could, as an away supporter at the games, I could visibly hear and see that.
Yeah.
And then he went on a really good run, mate.
Every game, at any point, he's capable of anything. He's just silky. You watch him, he glides around the pitch. You can just tell he's better than everyone else on the pitch.
I feel like he was the first one dishing out the flicks, though. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah. And it's irritating. It's like, I don't mind you doing that, but not when we're 2-0 down at home and playing garbage, man. Not when we're doing that. The slow pace of play is frustrating. I don't know. I will sit here and really judge the performances after we've played after the Arsenal game, December the 10th. Because I want to see how we stack up and how we respond now. Because everybody knows that what happened there was not good enough. Everybody knows it. And yeah, it didn't help. That day was just Saturday. It was in a foul mood anyway. England lost rugby in the morning. It took me 2 hours to get to the game, which normally takes me like 40, 45 minutes max. But road closures was garbage. Followed by 2.5 hours to get home because of road closures. And it was rubbish. I just, the only highlight was I thought that the way that the Remembrance Day stuff was handled, as at most grounds, was very nice. So let's take a positive. My son got to see that and understood a little bit about that. Other than that, he didn't see any good football. And Newcastle were all right though, you know. If I've got a Newcastle hat on, I know we've got Sai, Fitballer and stuff. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom. I like the way Bruce is like,
Just
you know what?
Remind you that's the first time Newcastle scored more than one in a game this season.
Yeah, but I think I like the way Bruce was talking about if they even love me a little bit like they love Rafa, I'll be all right. But
I do think he's doing all right.
He is. I honestly think that it's not doom and gloom. I don't think they'll go down.
No, I don't either.
Nah, and I would have.
I would
stick
on. Yeah, cut them months ago.
I think
definitely.
Almiron and St Maximin will cause quite a few teams some problems this season. Well, look, you've already seen it, right? They beat you already, so.
Yeah, I know how this feels.
And in that segue, nicely on.
Yeah, thanks.
I've got my rant over. Did you get any answers?
Yeah, I mean, the main one is don't buy fucking West Ham players is the obvious one.
Not right now. I need to move away from
to close on your lot, my opinion on it would be there's obviously a game at Burnley now before the international break. I think if you lose that and then lost at home to us, which is the first game after the break, I think change might happen.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
On Spurs, it was a little bit of a weird one at the way. It was obviously, anybody who watched the game, I feel like apologising because it was an awful watch as a game of football.
It started earlier in the day on Twitter when people started talking about Kane hasn't travelled. Yeah. I thought it was the rumour mill.
No, the news. I was literally about to go to bed Saturday night about 1 o'clock in the morning, and Alistair Gold tweeted that he'd heard a rumour that Kane had not travelled.
Right.
And then it kind of got confirmed about 10 o'clock in the morning. It was probably sickness. And one of the things we do need to just briefly clarify here is we're recording this at Monday lunchtime, 24 hours probably in advance of it getting released. We don't know at this stage, obviously, if the red card's going to be appealed or not.
No.
I would work on the assumption that, do you know what, it's a really, really awkward and sensitive one because the injury was horrendous, like awful, mate.
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, and thoughts go out to him because there's a possibility with that sort of injury, unfortunately, that Gomez might not play football again.
Yeah.
So that's horrendous, and in the scheme of things, moaning about Son might be banned for 3 games is fucking irrelevant, right? Everton are without their best midfielder for, well, at least the season, I think we can safely say. I found the game really difficult to concentrate on watch after the incident.
Must have been horrible to try and play in. You could see it in the players' faces, like Dele doing the post-match interview. You could tell that he was doing it and he was giving the answers that they wanted to hear about the game, but it was the last thing that he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I think had Son not been sent off, he would have been taken off. I think that's
Well, Aurier.
I think that's why Aurier went
straight
off
away.
as well. It wasn't straight away.
2 minutes or 3 minutes.
But I think that's why Aurier went off as well.
Yeah.
It was unquestionably a yellow card. I think we've all seen the images when it happens. The referee's got his yellow card out straight away. I think he then sees the severity of the injury and makes the decision that he's made the wrong call and it's worse. I don't think it was a red card, but it's kind of irrelevant in the circumstance. Interesting one, perhaps for FPL players. Obviously, if Son is banned for 3 games, that Lucas Moura might be a punt.
Yeah.
I don't think Spurs would often play a diamond without Son. Although Moura is quick, Son is fucking electric when he gets going. And I think one of the reasons why we really went to a diamond, particularly at periods last year, was when Son started getting back into the team. I think there's been a more stabilising effect from the last 3 games of sticking to a back 4. I feel like we're in the middle of a slow process of what I've been asking for, which is
back to basics
a little bit. And actually, this was one of our better defensive performances of the season, I thought. I honestly think that until the red card incident, I was quite comfortable. I couldn't see Everton scoring. I thought we were going to win, whether we deserved it or not. It's not really by the by. I mean, I think for us at the moment to have just gone away from home and scrapped an away win would have been great, as it's been January since we had a league win. Even our last 2 league wins were against 2 sides who have been relegated in Fulham and Cardiff. So we actually haven't won away to a current Premier League side since we went to Everton last December. It's now November.
November 23rd is coming, mate. We're ready to roll over.
You won't have your belly tickled for us. We know you'll be right up for it. It's always game of your life. So a difficult one really to analyse from a Spurs perspective. It was poor, but I saw some building blocks defensively that made me feel better. I thought both fullbacks defensively did okay. I think they played safe. I don't mind that at the moment particularly. I think the standout underperformer was unfortunately Christian Eriksen. I would have hauled him off long before. I don't know how we made it to the end of the game being down to 10 men and he was still on the pitch, because the bloke won't make a tackle for you or anything. And I feel like of the ones where there's been question marks, sort of him, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, he's the one, I said a couple of months ago, he probably needs to play through it.
Yeah.
I think this football team would be better off without him now. And just working Lo Celso into the team. On Ndombele, I thought was really good for half hour.
That's what you always say. He's like, he can play for half an hour and then
just completely faded out of the game. He's got such a weird running style. Even just watching him when he comes off, it's like his head is about 3 feet in front of the rest of his body. He's got the ability. He's still way off of fitness. Now, the only way he's going to get that up is by playing football matches. So it's in there. It's in the locker. In the first half hour, I like the way he turns on the ball. He's brave. He's trying to pass between the lines. It's something we're really missing at the moment. He's another one. He's going to have to play through this now. And I hope we can get Lo Celso worked in. Important for Dele to get a goal. Took it really well.
Yeah.
That moment where I thought he's cut inside and he fucking overdone it as usual, but he took it well. I don't know. It was a scrappy affair. It wasn't a disastrous result, but we're in a period where we can't afford any more of these. 10 points behind Chelsea, Leicester. It's miles off. It's not happening. So I had a theory. Someone was saying in a pub yesterday that because obviously Amazon's got the old documentary, and it looks like it's just going to be a damp squib. What are you going to show on it?
It's not going to be very good.
Nothing happening in the league. Won't be good enough to win the Champions League. So have we already bought the FA Cup? I think Man City might have something to say about that with the draws they get.
Yeah.
If Man City are away to like Liverpool 3rd round, then I don't know.
Something's happened.
Maybe it's on.
Something's happened. Really frustrating from a Tottenham point of view there. What's the latest on? Do we think Harry Kane will be fit for Champions League this week?
At the moment, I don't know. The report was it was just sickness, so I would have presumed so. I would think the reason I mentioned Lucas, obviously, if he's going to be banned for 3 games, I think Lucas will probably play.
Yeah.
But I would have thought he might play in a wide area. I'm thinking, I really feel like he's trying to move away from the diamond. And actually, I feel like one of the reasons Everton selected Delph Davis and Gomez in the first instance was I think he thought Spurs were going to play a diamond because of the damage that we did. We played with a diamond when we won 6-2 up there last year. And the year before, we played 3 at the back, but it was almost like a diamond and then Kane. So the last couple of times we've gone up to Goodison, we've had a real dominance in midfield. That didn't happen in this game. And I feel like it became very cat and mouse because I think the way both sides lined up was different to what both sides had expected.
Yeah.
And I think it resulted in quite a poor game of football where both sides were in a position where it felt more important not to lose than win. Mm-hmm. Both are struggling for confidence at the moment. I mean, they're average Everton. I was watching the game and I was thinking, you're Arsenal light. We're Wobie one side, Walcott the other. Mm. The amount of money they've spent, it should be doing better.
Yeah, I think the reason they got past us when we played up there was so much to do with intensity and effort. It's hard to do that week in, week out.
They didn't have that against us yesterday.
If they it wasn't on quality that they beat us necessarily. It was through sheer will and work rate, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that they blagged it. If you win a game like that, do it. But they have to do that week in, week out because it's not quality that's going to get them through games at the moment. You come up against Sheffield United this week.
Great.
Sheffield United are in form, defensively very stubborn. They're going to be looking at you thinking we're going to have a piece of you this week. It's going to be a very difficult game.
Oh, definitely. And they'll still go into the position of nothing to lose, right?
Of course, yeah.
If they get beat, no one says it's an awful fixture for us. Whereas I felt like the Everton fixture came at a good time to kind of, there's some pressure on Everton to be getting a result as well.
As well, yeah.
There's no pressure on Sheffield United Saturday. If Spurs win, everyone just goes, oh, okay. Right, Sheffield United, we win, we go level on points for them.
Yeah.
So they've got absolutely nothing to lose. That's not necessarily going to work in our favour.
No, I think I'm keeping a keen eye on what to do with Son. My long-term plan next week after the Manchester City-Liverpool game was to get Mane in. I might have to just make that move today, to be honest with you.
I think from an FPL perspective, the advice right now would be don't buy Spurs. And the majority of listeners will have Lundstrom. The advice is play him.
Play him. I did play him last week.
For 2 reasons. One, the potential problem of Spurs breaking down sides of this ilk.
Yeah.
And also have conceded goals to midfield runners. Think like McGinn earlier in the season. So he's the one with the power to run through, isn't he? So take it as it'll probably be a 2-pointer, but I think you've got to play him.
Yeah, yeah. I had this week and next week earmarked for Sheffield United to move to Rico, Tottenham, and I think then there's Man United they play after.
Sheffield United, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Lundstrom's a keeper. Play him. Yeah, there we go.
That's
Anything
it.
else? Whoa!
Hey!
Should have put it on silent.
Yeah, that's a schoolboy error, isn't it?
It is. Anyway, anything else to add?
No. Sky tomorrow. Yay.
Sky Fantasy Football. Red arrow in that for me, but I think it's within tolerable levels.
Do we think that it's this particular podcast show is causing us upset and more pain?
No, I think it's nice to be able to come in and get all my opinion off my chest. I don't watch West Ham games maybe with the tactical intensity which I think you watch games with the way teams set up. I do like to see, are we the centre backs splitting out, where are the midfielders sitting and what have you, but then just let the game flow. So I like, when I rant about my opinion on the game, what I really like is people coming back and saying, actually, I disagree with you on that, or I do agree with you on that, or I did see this, or I didn't see that. So I like this show because, it gets it all off my chest. And then other people can come back and say, you're right or you're wrong.
I think Suj is looking for feedback. I think we all know what it'll be. Lads, you're spot on. You're both shit.
Yeah, I'm happy with that even. But I enjoy it. I think we support our clubs passionately, so it's good to get that chance to talk about them. And also the number of people that don't support Tottenham and West Ham that get an insight into our clubs is good as well. So, I don't think it's causing me any additional grief. That's been firmly done by the 11 to 14 players on the pitch week in, week out at the moment.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you for tuning in to Tot&HAM this week. We did publish yesterday the People's Poll, where we talked about the fixture pile-up that could be hitting Liverpool anytime now, and also the main FPL podcast for Game Week 11's review is out as well. Tomorrow, we're coming at you with our Sky Fantasy Football, as James mentioned. Reasonable week, James. Hit the 80-something, I hit 68. And then we have Clash of the Correspondents, the Midlands Derby this week. Aston Villa versus Wolves. So we've got Parker _ Bradley. Bradley's coming on. And Adam Hopcroft, Hopcroft813 on Twitter if you want to follow those guys. Followed by the final plan on Friday. I could be taking a hit this week. 3-way transfer. I might even make it today live during the podcast later that we record. That screws up the timescale. I'll be made.
You are so perfect.
Until then, I may have made my transfers by the final plan on Friday. That's all we need to say.
Brilliant.
Other than that, ciao for now.
Cue music, man, child. Come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, and you Irons.